Hello and welcome to Housing Building Digest series number 4, which is on construction specifications related with foundations. My name is Shailesh Agrawal, Executive Director of BMTPC, and this is an attempt by BMTPC to provide useful but often ignored information about multifarious activities involved in house construction and other technical and non-technical matters associated with building materials and construction technologies. Every individual has a dream of owning a house, and through this series, we will slowly unravel myths and misconceptions about building construction. The language used here is lucid and simple to comprehend. Before giving you detailed specifications for foundations, it is important to note that elements of house construction include superstructure and substructure. Substructure is generally below the ground level and normally comprises of foundation, whereas superstructure means walls, beams, columns, slabs, floors, doors, windows, parapets, finishing items, etc. It is important for us to get acquainted with these elements and their details so that they are constructed structurally sound and economical. First and foremost step for house construction is setting out works. That means demarcation of your plot area. Generally, the local authorities which provide the building permit gives the plot location and dimensions, the demarcation of lines for walls, etc. as per approval as per approved layout of house has to be carried out properly. If this setting out is not proper, then walls and services may not fall in line, creating problems later, which may end up walls and other junctions falling either out of line or not at right angles. This is very important and need to be carried out by the contractor under strict supervision of an architect, engineer, and owner himself. Also, while setting out works, a benchmark should be constructed at a plot side. A benchmark is usually a small rectangular brick column which is constructed at a site uh, such that the heights of walls, levels of slabs, and floors can be taken and transferred appropriately. Means benchmark helps you fixing the heights and levels of various elements and floors. Now let us come to foundations. Foundations are mainstay of house construction as the stability and performance of your structure depend on it. The main design parameter for foundation are its depth and width. Normally, the safe bearing capacity of soil at a specific depth is estimated, and accordingly, depth of foundation below the ground level is fixed. The width of foundation will depend on this bearing capacity and total loads of walls, slabs, finishing, etc. coming from main structure. Normally, the load depends on use of building. For example, for residential building, the live load is around 200 kg per centimeter square. There are different types of foundations which will be explained to you now. The foundation can be of brick, it can be of RCC, concrete, or it can be a simple pile foundation. The type of foundation also depends on number of factors such as type of soil, number of stories, specifications, etc. Normally, prevalent local practices greatly influence the foundation type. As explained you just now, let us discuss again the depth and width of foundation. The depth at which foundation has to be provided is dependent upon the depth at which soil with adequate safe bearing capacity is available. Safe bearing capacity can vary from one side to other. Typically, as a thumb rule, the depth is kept around 90 centimeter or 3 feet. Similarly, width of foundation is function of load from the superstructure and safe bearing capacity. Typically, it can also be 90 centimeter or 3 feet. In any case, minimum depth and width of foundation should not be less than 75 centimeter or 2.5 feet. These figures which are given to you are just indicative and governed by conditions at site. Advice of structural engineer is highly recommended as cost-effective design can save a lot of money in foundations. Now let us tell you about different types of foundation. First is the most common one, that is foundation in bricks, which is shown here on right hand side. Normally, as thumb rules are adopted for construction of 2 to 3 story houses having good safe bearing capacity, and step foundation in brickwork are universally adopted. As you can see in this figure, this foundation comprises of a base layer of plain cement concrete, which can be 3 inch to 6 inch, and then brickwork is laid in cement sand mortar of 1:6 or richer in shape of steps. The brick foundation are to be provided continuously along the length of load-bearing walls, which are at least 1 brick thick. Wherever half brick walls, that is partition walls, are being provided, the depth and width of foundation can be reduced. However, my advice is that engineers and architects need to be consulted for foundation design, and utmost care should be taken to use quality and strong bricks. Another important aspect while constructing uh, uh, foundation is damp proofing course, which is a barrier to prevent the moisture from traveling to the superstructure walls above the foundation. This is shown here in this picture. This is damp proofing course, or DPC. It is provided, as you can see here, at the plinth level, which is above ground level, and it is normally made of cement sand mortar of 1 inch thick with a layer of bitumen on its top. Nowadays, thick polythene sheet is also being provided. Now let's now see other foundation which is in stones and normally provided where stones are available locally, such as hilly regions and southern part of our country. This use of local stone for construction of foundation brings economy in construction. As you can see in this figure on right hand side, the construction of such foundation is exactly similar to that of bricks, with the only difference that number of steps here are only 2 to 3, whereas in case of bricks it can be more depending upon the load and depth of foundation. While laying stone foundation, the size of stone should be such that they can be placed and lifted by hand. These stones should also be washed before use, and these hard stones should be laid in random rubble masonry with leveling up with cement concrete of 1:6:12, where 1 is cement, 6 is coarse sand, and 12 is stone aggregate of 20 nominal size and down. Next is the most popular foundation, which is foundation in cement concrete, and there are a number of ways in which it can be provided, such as isolated single column footing or combined footing or raft footing, depending upon type of soil, local conditions, and uses of your building. Let's understand them one by one. Isolated footings are most commonly used concrete footing used for house construction and are shown here on the right hand side. Before explaining it to you, let me just tell you that house can be constructed either with load bearing brick walls, that means brick walls for superstructure, and foundation uh, with reinforced concrete construction, that means giving a frame of concrete columns and beams with brick walls filled in between. There can be combination of both as well. Normally, isolated column footings are provided for RCC frame construction or combination. In order to construct isolated footing, first excavation of ground is carried out for the required depth and width, generally in a square shape. The base of foundation is provided in plain cement concrete known as base concrete, as you can see here. Its thickness may vary from 3 inches to 6 inches. Over the base concrete, the reinforcement, that is steel bars, are placed in both the direction and tied up. Remember, the reinforcement of column has to commence from the foundation level as shown here. And this reinforcement is also placed while laying the foundation. The isolated footings are normally trapezoidal in shape to save material. Once the concreting is done, the proper curing is must and need to be carried out for at least a week or 10 days so as to get desired strength. It is advisable to seek the foundation design from structural engineer. The other type of the other type of foundations are combined footing and raft footing, as you can see in these pictures on right hand side. When two or more isolated footings are being joined in case of space constraints, they are known as combined footing. The design and construction is similar to that of isolated footings and it can be rectangular or trapezoidal as per the design. Raft is a special type of foundation to be provided in areas where safe bearing capacity is low. In such cases, the entire area is excavated and first base concrete is laid over which reinforcement is provided for the entire foundation width, and then the raft is cast. This is a specialized type of foundation and shall have to be done with the help of structural design only. Next is pile foundation, which is shown in this figure. Normally for individual houses, these are not provided. However, where soil is weak or we have waterlogged sites, pile foundation may be the only option. Piles for foundation can either be cast in situ or precast with steel or timber or in combination. The shape of pile is normally circular. Nowadays, under-ream piles are also being provided, which are bored concrete piles with bulb-like shape towards the bottom. The main elements of piles are a diameter, depth, and reinforcement, and to be decided as per structural design depending upon the soil strata. Let me briefly tell you the construction details of piles. Normally, holes of required diameters are made in the ground and then reinforcement cage is lowered. The concrete is then poured and vibrated properly to get good compaction. The piles are normally connected, as you can see in this figure, with a pile cap, and superstructure is constructed over these pile caps. There is another very important aspect while laying foundation is that of property line. One cannot excavate and lay foundation in another one's plot, and therefore at the property line foundation are to be provided as shown here in this figure. Property lines are nothing but the legal boundary of your plot where house is being constructed. Therefore, foundation in bricks, concrete or stone have to be of different shape at the property line than of inner walls. As you can see in this bottom right hand side picture, the foundation along the person's property line has to be vertical in shape instead of step. Another important aspect while laying foundation is anti-termite treatment. It is essential and comprises of providing a layer of chemical meant for termite treatment on exposed surfaces of soil in the foundation. This layer creates a barrier which inhibits termite movement. There are plenty of chemicals available in market. However, these should be used with great care and following the procedures. Sometimes a separate agency may also be hired for anti-termite treatment. For doors and windows also, anti-termite treatment is suggested, which is in form of protective coatings. This is all about specifications of foundations. But before I sign off, let me give you do's and don'ts for design and construction of foundation. There should not be any tree or their roots near the area where foundations are to be provided. Foundations on natural drains of water should be avoided. The depth and width of foundations in brick or in concrete should be designed properly. The foundation surface should be watered and left open for some time and finally compacted either by hand compactors or rollers. Anti-termite treatment, as I explained you earlier, should essentially be done in a proper and prescribed manner. Proper shuttering should be provided on sides of walls of foundation To prevent soil caving, it should be ascertained that foundations are laid in an absolutely straight line. Brick should be properly soaked in water before use. Similarly, stone should be washed before use. The base concrete to be provided should be 3 inch to 6 inch on either side of foundation design width. The base concrete should also be cured and rammed properly before commencement of work, either for brick or stone foundation or for foundation in concrete. The reinforcement bars or steel bars to be provided for seismic strengthening should be properly embedded in the foundation as per the direction of an architect or civil engineer. The foundation should be constructed in an absolutely vertical manner. The steel bars or steel reinforcement for foundation in concrete should be provided as per structural design and placed with proper cover. Proper cover to reinforcement can be provided by placing precast concrete cover blocks. These can be made either of wood or concrete, say of size 1 inch by 1 inch by 11 inch, or as may be required depending upon the conditions. Proper curing of RCC work in foundation should also be carried out in order to obtain the required strength. The entire depth of foundation should be at the same level to prevent differential settlements at the later stage. Engineers are advised to be taken in this regard. Foundations should also be provided for half brick walls, although they can be at a lesser depth and of lesser width. A cement mortar concrete course of about 45 centimeter width should be provided all along the outer side of the house at the ground level. This is known as spring protection course and prevents groundwater from entering the foundation. DPC, as explained you earlier, should also be laid properly, and its top surface should be at the same level all along the foundation walls. At last, providing good and appropriate foundation is the key to safe construction. The house grounded on good foundation will perform better, and therefore great care should be taken while constructing foundations. Also, economical design of foundation can save overall cost of house, and therefore the advice of foundation expert or civil engineer is always recommended. I hope the Building Digest number 4 will be helpful for creating awareness about construction of a house and can be downloaded from our website www.bmtpc.org. The next topic to be covered will be on construction specification of superstructure. Thank you.